we said, when you educate girls, you end poverty and ensure a better life for people in developing countries. Therefore, it is important that as we celebrate this year's International Women's Day, each and every Gambian should reflect on this day and think about how best, in a proactive way, of course, to connect with at least one girl in society, to inspire her, give her guidance, maybe a career path, and potentials, to reach her full potentials in that process and improve her livelihood.
In addition to the international theme, the Gambia's theme is the empowerment of rural women and their role in poverty and hunger eradication, development, and current challenges. The theme takes into account the significant role of rural women in food production, security, and poverty eradication, which is recognized in the National Gender and Women Empowerment Policy 2010-2012 and the Women's Act 2010. These and other policy documents will have a positive impact on women, particularly those in rural areas. Mamadou Diallo, Grts.
In a statement read on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General to commemorate International Women's Day, the United Nations Resident Coordinator Chinwe Dike outlined some of the remarkable gains made in the twin areas of gender equality and women empowerment over the years. The top UN official, however, said there is still more ground to cover.
Despite this momentum, there is a long way to go before women and girls can be said to enjoy the fundamental rights, freedoms, and the dignity that is their birthright, and that will guarantee their well-being. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the world's rural areas. Rural women and girls, to whom this year's International Women's Day is devoted, make up 1/4 of the global population, yet routinely figure at the bottom of every economic, social, and political indicator, from income and education to health to participation in decision-making. Numbering almost 500 million smallholder farmers and landless workers, rural women are a major part of the agricultural labor force. They perform most of the unpaid care work in rural areas, yet rural women continue to be held back in fulfilling their potential. If rural women had equal access to productive resources, agricultural yields would rise by 4%. Strengthening food and nutrition security and relieving as many as 150 million people from hunger. Rural women, given the chance, could also help the hidden development tragedy of stunting. This affects about 200 million children worldwide. Discriminatory laws and practices affect not just women, but entire communities and nations. Countries where women lack ownership rights or access to credit have significantly more malnourished children. It makes no sense that women farmers receive only 5% of agricultural extension services. Investing in rural women is a smart investment in a nation's development.
United Nations Resident Coordinator Chinwe Dike delivered a statement on International Women's Day. Government has, through the Ministry of Agriculture, declared the 2011-2012 farming season a failure as a result of severe crop failure and a corresponding soaring of food prices. A news release from the said ministry reveals that the post-harvest assessment of the 2011 farming season, which was characterized by below normal and poorly distributed rainfall, indicated a reduction in total crop production of more than 70%, very poor harvest, or lack of something to harvest in some of the villages and regions to unsatisfactory harvest of rice, groundnuts, millets, maize, and sorghum in others. could barely guarantee self-provisioning of 2 months, the release states, adding in an average year, provisioning is put at 4 to 6 months. The poor harvest, the dispatch states, is also exacerbated by soaring world food prices, which in turn have resulted in the rapid depletion of household incomes. While food stocks in some of the major market areas are still at an acceptable level, price increases are progressively becoming a severe strain on the incomes of poor households and their access to food. In response to this emerging crisis, the release continues, the government of the Gambia is mobilizing all available emergency funds for immediate action to assist the most affected and hereby calls on the international community and NGOs to assist in addressing current needs and preventing further deterioration of the situation. A post-harvest assessment report has been prepared identifying food, seed and farm inputs deficit for the upcoming 2012 cropping season, and government intends to start in earnest a seed multiplication program for the main cash crops and provide generous relief food to the entire farming population, particularly those in the hardest hit regions and districts, the release adds. The resources urgently needed to realize the above are well beyond what the national capability can guarantee, hence the need to ask for external help from our friends and development partners. National seeds requirement is put at 25,000 metric tons valued at 10 million US dollars. Fertilizer requirement is estimated at 37,500 metric tons valued at 8 million US dollars, and food relief is estimated at 40,000 metric tons at 5 million US dollars. The current situation, the release went on, poses a serious threat to both food security and nutrition security, which in turn will negatively impact the Gambia's socio-economic development, considering our serious resource constraints to address them accordingly. We join other affected Sahelian countries in declaring the 2011-2012 cropping season one of the severe crop failure. The release ends. The need for all hands to be on deck to advance the Gambia's march towards greater development was the crux of Governor Ganji Toure's address at regional celebrations marking the country's 47th independence anniversary. Ibrahim Ajata was in the sprawling Central River Region settlement of Sami Pachonki for the program, and he now reports.
The Central River Region celebrating the Gambia's 47th independence anniversary in remarkable form. The village of Sami Pacholi, located 37 kilometers on the beaten road from Janjambure, is playing host to celebrations of sovereignty here in the Central River Region, and true to form, the unveiling pomp and pageantry is evoking a great sense of national pride. The Gambia at 47 certainly means a lot for the people of the Central River Region as they convert in Sami Pachonki, the biggest settlement in the Rambling region, to commemorate the country's attainment of sovereignty. The Central River Region is not just the largest province in the country, but the region holds immense history and diversity, defining the Gambia's engaging tale, which is why moments like this are accorded special significance, celebrated with great relish. The governor's arrival at the event was marked with grand ceremony and display. The national anthem, which officially opened the day, quickly brought the crowd together with its unfailing unifying character. The usual customs rapidly followed, starting with the inspection of parade by the governor, accompanied by the soulful musical tones of the police band. This is one of the key features of independence celebrations, recalling the daunting struggles for nationhood and the unceasing drive to sustain and abide in national pride and esteem. In the Gambia, the harmony of a mad past exactly strikes the chord of unity. A variety of different security services marching in perfect accord explains the country's strength in diversity. Next came the marching procession of school children, representing the fast-evolving crop of the future, preparing to take over the development saddle. It is a future being enriched and fortified in effect with the importance attached by the government of the day to education, health and sports. His address underscored the need for more to be sacrificed in the cause of nation building.
in the Gambia, it is a struggle to attain